Two. Whenever you're ready, go.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to actually go about draping the muslin on the dress form. But first I want to touch upon what the dress form is actually made out of. We had the kids make a custom-made dress form conform to their body by having them wear a t-shirt, and they duct tape around the whole thing from the nape of the neck down to the hip. And then we had them carefully cut themselves out of it, tape up the back, and then shove newspaper in it, so it became a dress form of that. So basically, to make kind of like a makeshift form, because you need something that's pivoted, we taped the bottom of this with masking tape, and we stuck it to the chair, so then we could turn it around. So it makes it like really easy and usable and user-friendly. So now I'm going to show you how to go about draping fabric now. So, like I said before, perpendicularly is the grain. So you want to try and keep this as straight as you can. So you kind of just want to eyeball, where the middle of the form is, and from there, you just want to drape it over. So you want to look closely on the grain of the fabric and see where, a lot of the times too, like if you want to fold it exactly in half and then iron it, that'll help you get a crease line too from where the straight of the grain is, so that can make it easier for you too to actually go about pinning it. So from here now, I'm going to grab some pins. Okay. And about where I feel the middle of the dress form is, I'm going to start pinning. So you don't have to put 100 pins, just put, a few. Like a few inches apart. And you also want to make it a point too not to be sitting on a chair when you're doing this, because I found that a lot of the kids would put a stool next to it and try to sit next to their form and turn it around and work with it, but you're not really going to have a good idea of what your garment's going to look like, and it's just going to come out distorted when you're from that perspective. So you want to be able to stand over it, go down on the floor, look, all over to see if everything's lined up and stuff like that. It's very important. Okay, so from now, we have what they call center front pins, which is the center middle part of the front. So now from here, we have to start building out our side seams. So we're going to pull the fabric as tight as we can without distorting the grain, and we're going to eyeball where the middle of the side on our garment is. So from there we want to start pinning. Okay. So you don't want to leave too much excess, but see how there's starting to be like a puckering of fabric here? That's really important. That's what you want, because from there we're going to build our darts. And darts, by the way, are just a way of getting fit in the garment. So a lot of times if you see anything, any garments in the everyday that are fitted, usually you'll see some kind of seaming or darting that's on the garment that allows the fabric to gain some kind of fit, because that's how you conform it to your body. Otherwise, the fabric would just be more like a tubular shape, unless that's what you wanted, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to get fit. Okay, so now you want to do that on the other side too. It's really important to do the same to one side as you do to the other. You can't have one side be totally different pull-wise, so you want to make sure to pull it about the same as the other side if you can. So again, you want to eyeball. It's kind of hard to see, but you kind of want to eyeball where the middle of the other side is too, and start pinning. So basically what I'm doing here, for the front, you would do the same thing for the back as well. So you would repeat the same steps, except the darts in the back would probably be a little bigger, because your waist goes in a little more to compensate for your tush, so that's why the darts would be a little bigger. Okay, so make sure, now you just want to go, make sure really quick, everything looks even. Now my line looks kind of like it moved a little bit. Let's see. So I might want to fix my center front. So sometimes you'll find that a lot too. Like as you pull the fabric, some stuff might get distorted. So you have to really make it a point to go back and fix it. So it's kind of a back and forth game with pulling the fabric and keeping it straight. Okay. So usually on regular dress forms too, because this is kind of, this isn't a legit dress form, but on the real ones, they have tape that's sewn onto the dress form itself where center front and the side seams are, so it does make it a lot easier to pin because you could feel underneath where the seams are supposed to be and you could just pin it. But here you kind of have to really rely on your judgment to find where the side seams and center front is. Okay, so from here now, I'm going to use a pencil and mark up my side seams and my center front. Okay. Now this part is crucial to later on knowing where to sew and where to put your seam allowance for making your draped front or back into a pattern. Because from there, that you're just going to go right into sewing. So from here now, I'm going to follow the pins as straight as I can. This is why it's really important to pin as accurately as you can, but later on we'll have a chance to fix our lines and make them nice and neat. So it doesn't have to be totally perfect, but the neater the better. So now, let's see. Just follow the line of the side seams where the pins are. And this dress form's kind of lumpy, so it's kind of hard to draw on it, but you get the idea. Okay, now we want to do that to the other side. Okay. I'm also going to draw where the hip line is, because I think that's very important, especially if you want to have some sort of like hip seam or something. Usually the hip on these sort of forms, since we had them make the forms around their hips too and stop at their hips, I'm just going to draw a straight line ending at the bottom of the dress form. So that'll just give you an idea of like proportion later on. It's even a good idea to put the waistline in too, because usually on a standard pattern, you'll have the waistline, the hip line drawn in, all the darts drawn in, center front, and the side seams marked. So now I'm going to mark center front with a C and an F, so I know that that's where center front is. And then wherever the side seams are, I'm going to put 2 F's for a side seam. This is going to be very, very helpful later on, because once you take this off, it's going to look really different. Okay. So you might have to prop up your form now and again because it kind of falls over. Okay, so now we have pretty much all the basic stuff marked, which is really important. So now we're ready to do our dart. So now we want to look at where our side seams are in proportion to your center front, and we want to start taking darts out. So you want to go basically equidistant between the side seam and center front, and that's where you're going to start. So I think, okay, this looks like it's about the middle. So wherever the waist is, you want to take a big pinch with your finger and start pinning. Okay. And now you have to think of where the bust line starts too. So it looks like the bust starts to curve out somewhere around here. You never want a dart going around the bust because it just will look really weird and the fit will be weird. Unless you're doing a princess seam, which is a seam that goes from the hem all the way up to the neck, which takes out fit, but we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be doing just plain darts, and the dart usually has the most fit pinched out in the middle, and then it tapers out to 2 little points at the end. So now we want to find where the bottom of the bust is, and it's somewhere around here. So you want to make one of those points I was talking about, where it tapers out. So you want to pin that. And now and again, if you feel like you need to pinch a little more, you can, and just adjust it. Okay. Okay. And then you don't want the end of the dart to go all the way down to the hip either. I would say you usually want it to go maybe like an inch or an inch and a half above the hip at most, and then create. So it's kind of hard to see on these dress forms because it's really hard to figure out where to, take out the dart. Like, do I stop here? Because usually on the dress forms, it's like a lot smoother, it's a lot cleaner, and you have a harder surface underneath, and it's a lot clearer as to where you stop the dart and stuff like that. So you have to really rely a lot on your own judgment too. Okay. So from here, you can start to see it's really fitted over here. Except it's pulling. So you might have to readjust it. Okay. Okay, so now from here, now I'm looking, it looks like center front's kind of tapering off